What's up guys, Jam here, and today I want to talk to you about how you can set up your guitar and make it ready to record. Alright, let's talk first tip, tuning. And before you go on and say, oh really, he's talking about tuning, isn't that obvious? It's not. And a common thing I notice about people coming in to record is that usually just put on the tuner, flick the string, get it to the right note, and they're good to go. While that might be one way to do it, I don't think it's a great way to do it. What you need to do is tune it like you play it, which means if you are somebody who picks really hard, who digs into the strings, who goes like, you know, when they play, if you just flick the string, go like, and start tuning, you're gonna go flat if you dig in too deep. So what you do is, when you're tuning, make sure you're tuning within the same intensity of picking that you usually record with. Tip number 2, let's talk strings and how long you've had them on your guitar. Make sure you change your strings before every recording session. You'd be surprised with the difference between old strings and new strings. Old strings tend to usually be dull, out of life. New strings are a lot more present, a lot more ringy, and would just make a huge difference to your tone. This is something often ignored, and I get a lot of people coming in to record with like strings that have been on the guitar for like a month or two, when they think it's just a string. But you know what, it's not gonna make a difference, while it will. It'll be good to actually put it to the test. If you already have old strings on your guitar, record a riff and change the guitar and record that same riff, and you'll notice a huge difference. Tip number 3, still related to tip number 2, and is about the strings and the string gauge. So make sure you know what string gauge you're using before you start tracking. It all depends on the style of your playing, the style of your music, and your tuning as well. So if we're using lighter strings to go into drop tunings, they will become loose. The tension is not gonna be right for you, and you're gonna go flat, you're gonna, lose tuning and all that stuff. So make sure to experiment with gauges, what feels comfortable for you, what feels right, and what affects your tone. Another thing to pinpoint as well is your pick and your pick thickness and material. This has a lot of impact on how the attack of your right hand is impacted with the strings. So a thicker pick usually digs in more and deeper with the strings, but that might not be necessarily a good thing. So it depends what you're playing. If you're like heavy riffing, you might want a thicker pick. If you're tremolo picking, you might want a tiny bit thinner pick. If you're playing leads, you might go for a softer pick. So make sure you experiment with picks and don't be stubborn with the pick that you use or you're used to using, for a long time. It's good to experiment. There's nothing wrong with switching picks for different parts of your song. So make sure you experiment with that, make sure you have the right picks, and trust me, this will make a huge difference. Tip number 3, and that is, I think, the most overlooked part of this equation, and it's the cable. The cable you use, the quality of the cable you use will have a huge impact on your sound and the noise floor that it has. Usually cheaper cables have a bigger noise floor than expensive cables. And do the test. Grab an expensive cable, grab the old shitty cable that you've had for years, plug it into the guitar, record the same riff, and let me know. I'm pretty sure you're gonna hear a huge difference in the sound. So make sure not to overlook the cables, make sure you get good quality cables, and trust me, you will not regret it. Tip number 5, and the last one for today, and this applies to an acoustic guitar, especially when you're miking an acoustic guitar. So what you're doing is you're playing the acoustic, you have a condenser microphone in front of it that's going to your interface. Mic placement is very important. That means where you place the mic in front of the guitar makes a huge difference to that tone. Actually, let me get the acoustic, hold on. All right, so here's the acoustic. So as we were saying, the more we go towards the body, the more bassy the sound is gonna get. And the more we go towards the neck, the more trebly it is gonna get. So what I would recommend is you guys place the mic somewhere around here. I think this is a sweet spot, for me at least. Like, that's what I found when I get the best of both worlds. So try around the 12th to the 15, anywhere between the 12 and 15 fret, experiment with it. The distance also matters, so make sure you take that into consideration. Play around with it, make sure you get the placement right, make sure you get the sound that you want, and I guarantee you it'll make a huge difference as well. So that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed these tips. Make sure you try them out. Let me know in the comments if any of those were helpful to you, and if you guys enjoyed this video. Please subscribe and like this video, and most of all, share it to your friends, share it with people that you think might find this helpful, and you'll help support the channel as well. And I'll see you next time.